All right, welcome back. This is the second part in several that I'll be releasing in a conversation that I had with Dan from Men Need to Be Heard. For those of you who are familiar with Dan, he's an absolute wonderful resource. I'll leave his information down below. In the second part of that conversation that he and I had, we talk about the role of the church and spirituality that happens during divorce and separation, and often what happens is the detrimental effects that they have on men. If you're new here, my name is Todd. I'm an author and a psychologist. I'm the author of Confessions. Got a copy in the back right there. Looking for a link in the description. You can get a free chapter there as well. So without further ado, I hope that you are in the right place. We're going to discuss the role of the church and spirituality in men's divorce and separation.
Part of it was, so we were very involved with our church at the time. We, in fact, had financial ties. And so the church, continued to tell me, work on it. You got to do this. You got to fix your man. You got to fight for it. All these other kinds of things. So with their persistence, I'd say there was no me leaving. I would have been ostracized or whatever from their community even more if I would have just kind of walked away. So that was a big part of me deciding, listen, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not making any decisions. I'm going to let her do it. If this is going to hell, it's going to be because she wants it that way. And a large part of it at the church's prompting. So again, it's that social influence. And one of the things I tell people now is, do not ever speak to a therapist, an attorney, or someone else for professional help. But if people do not have a vested or financial or any type of dog in your race, they have no business telling you what to do with such important decisions. And that's what I wish somebody would have told me 20 years ago. So
yeah, it's interesting.
For what that's worth.
Yeah, it's interesting, Todd, because I am not religious in any way. And as I was reading the book, and I could tell you were. And it's it's intertwined with your whole family dynamic, right? It was a struggle. You could sense it coming off the pages. That I don't know quite how to put it, but the church is going to ban you for lack. I don't know what the terminology I should use there is.
Just a lot of shame and guilt, just like everyone else. Is what it was.
When you. That's not something I could relate to, but you portray it in a way that I could understand it, right? Mm-hmm. And that was one of the questions I wanted to ask you was, as you were going through this and you're trying to reconcile your religious beliefs, the spirituality, whatever way you want to put it, how was that? Because there's a lot of guys out there that are religious. I'm not, right? So I can't relate to it. How was that did you talk to the minister, pastor, priest, whatever it was? And as you were going through it, can you kind of just flesh out for me and the audience how you're trying to reconcile all that? Because, using the Catholic Church, and I'm not assigning blame here, it's till death do you part, and you're going to be banned, that's if you get divorced. Was that some of what was going into play here, and how were you navigating all that?
So I'll tell you what. So I'm not spiritual, religious at all anymore. In fact, as I'm sure what happened with a lot of people, the whole process made me lose my faith, not just in any higher being, but in the literal physical congregation church itself. And that's because at the time I had such an external locus of control, and I love locus of control so much I included it in my dissertation, which in fact was about divorced fathers. I had such an external locus of control. And that's why I was listening to everybody else. Oh my God, you need to be doing this, you need to be doing that. And it took me a few years to really get to the point where I made the move into an external locus of control. And what I realized was the church is not going to help me. I'm going to have to do this, or I have to do this myself. I have to take control of this situation, and the church is not going to do that for me. So whether it was, the God, a spiritual higher being, I lost faith in all of that. It's because I started to take control of my own destiny, my own circumstances. And that's when things really kind of started to change for me a lot. Again, listen, I don't want to put down anyone's religion, anything like that, their faith. I just don't have that, and I lost it in that process. So that's kind of like where the spiritual influence lies. And I'll be honest, probably about the time that about 3 or 4 months after I started writing that journal, I had nothing left to do with the church anymore. I would talk to the people there once in a while, but absolutely nothing to do with the church. So that ended actually quite early in my story.
And I got that sense, right? That was why I wanted to ask you about it, because, again, this is something I hear all the time, right? Is I know of men who are deeply religious. Like, I'm thinking of one right now. Went to church twice a week. All of that was very heavily involved in all of the aspects of the church, and went through the divorce, dealt with the guilt of it all, because they went, in this particular case, they went to the priest for counseling, which was a disaster, because basically all they got was lectured, you have to stay together, we're not going to deal with your problems.
By the way, that's exactly what I was getting as well.
Yeah, which does nothing. It doesn't address any issues. Just
it doesn't fix anything.
Suck it up and deal with it. No, that's not going to help, right? But he eventually abandoned the church, and I talk to him frequently even now, and he feels a loss, but he doesn't, if that makes sense. He misses the family aspect of it, I guess I'll put it.
Yeah.
But he doesn't miss the hypocrisy, right?
Yes, absolutely. I can totally resonate with that.
And again, it's not something I can resonate with, because it doesn't. I'm not religious, never have been, but it's interesting that you kind of touch on that in the book, and it speaks to why people should read it, because you're sharing things that many people might go through or not, but you get a better understanding by doing that.